All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. We're looking at how to completely stop guessing match winners and instead start finding the actual value in football goal markets. Look, if you've ever pulled your hair out watching a team dominate possession for 89 minutes only to lose on some fluke counterattack, yeah, you're in exactly the right place. Because honestly, why bet on teams when you can literally just bet on chaos? As fans, sure, we all love watching our team win, but trying to mathematically pick that winner, it's exhausting. You're trying to predict tactical shifts, the weather, weird refereeing decisions, or, whether the star striker woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It's almost impossible to keep a consistent edge when you're relying on that many unpredictable human variables. Which brings us to this idea. Some people bet on teams. Smarter people bet on goals. And it's so true, because the scoreboard, it absolutely does not lie. You can have the prettiest passing sequences, the most expensive manager pacing the touchline, and 80% possession. But if the ball doesn't actually cross the line, none of it matters. Goal markets just strip away all that bias and let you focus purely on the action.
So here's our agenda for today. We're going to cover betting goals, not teams, BTTS versus over 2.5, the 193 odds trap, advanced betting strategies, and finally, playing it safe. Let's get to it.
Section 1. Betting goals, not teams. Taking the guesswork out of the final result.
So when we shift our perspective away from the final whistle, betting on goals actually starts to feel like a cheat code. You don't need to pick a winner. You're suddenly immune to that late-game VAR drama ruining your spread. Think about it. A 90th minute penalty given by VAR might totally destroy a traditional bet on a specific team to win. But in the goal markets, that same chaotic penalty is exactly what you're cheering for. You're no longer stressed about who takes the points. You're just rooting for the game to blow wide open.
Okay, moving on to Section 2, BTTS versus over 2.5. Two markets, totally different strategies. Now, it is incredibly easy to mix these two markets up, but honestly, understanding the nuance between them is exactly where the smart money is made. They sound similar, right? And they do often overlap, but they require entirely different game scripts to hit consistently. The big takeaway here is that both teams to score, or BTTS, needs both teams to actually show up and contribute. Over 2.5, it doesn't care who does the heavy lifting. So if you're looking at two leaky defenses and expecting a lot of back and forth, that's BTTS. A 1-1 draw is perfectly fine there, but for over 2.5, you just need 3 total goals, which could easily be one powerhouse team just absolutely dismantling a weaker squad.
Just take a really close look at the 3-0 blowout scenario here. One team played brilliantly, netted 3 times, so an over 2.5 bet hits without a sweat. But because the losing team couldn't find the net, the BTS bet completely falls flat. Treating these two specific markets as interchangeable, man, that is one of the most common and definitely the most expensive mistakes you can make.
Now, if you're feeling particularly confident, sportsbooks do let you combine them. But notice the odds jump here. Because you now need both teams to score and at least 3 goals total in the match, the risk is definitely higher. But as you can see, the potential reward jumps significantly. It's a fantastic market for sure, but you really should only touch it when you're looking at 2 highly aggressive teams that just completely ignore their defensive duties.
So, to sum that up, BTS thrives on absolute chaos, while over 2.5 thrives on one-sided blowouts. If you expect a wild back and forth, you go BTS. But if you're expecting a heavy favorite, say Bayern Munich, to just dominate a weak backline, over 2.5 is your absolute target. Think back to that World Cup match where England went up 4-0 against Iran. That right there is a classic over 2.5 scenario. The game was entirely one-sided. You literally didn't need Iran to show up to cash that ticket.
All right, Section 3, the 1.93 odds trap. Why your logical strategy is actually losing you money.
Okay, brace yourselves for a massive gotcha moment here, because we are about to expose the exact mathematical flaw that quietly drains amateur bankrolls. This is literally where we separate the casual fans from the people who truly understand how sportsbooks manipulate data. See that number? Historically, 51.8% of Premier League games end with both teams scoring. So that makes the true break-even odds exactly 1.93. Now, an amateur bettor looks at that and thinks, aha, if the average is 51.8%, I'll just blindly bet on any game offering odds higher than 1.93, and boom, I've got a mathematical edge. Sounds perfectly logical, right? Well, wrong.
Here's why. It's called the subset trap. If you only bet when the bookmaker offers odds above 1.93, you aren't actually finding a mistake in their pricing. What you're doing is actively filtering for the most defensive, low-scoring games on the slate. Games where a BTTS outcome is actually super rare. See that 51.8% average? That includes all those crazy 3-3 thrillers. But the bookies already priced those open games way lower.
If they are willingly offering you odds of 210, their algorithm already knows the true probability for that specific defensive matchup is probably sitting around 40%. You aren't outsmarting them. You're falling right into the trap.
And this comparison shows the painful reality of that trap. Your strike rate is completely meaningless if you are continuously overpaying for bad prices. Look at scenario A. You could accurately predict the flow of the game over half the time, but if you're consistently taking odds of 1.50 when the underlying math dictates it should be much higher, your bankroll is inevitably gonna bleed dry.
It all comes down to this. Strike rate is vanity. Price is sanity. Remember, you do not get paid just for predicting the match correctly. You get paid for finding the wrong prices. These bookmakers are incredibly sharp, you guys. Your goal isn't just to guess who's going to score. Your actual goal is to find those specific, rare matches where the sportsbook's algorithm has just slightly miscalculated the probability of chaos.
Let's move on to Section 4, Advanced Betting Strategies, spotting true market value like a professional.
Okay, let's actually take all of this theory and turn it into some highly actionable step-by-step strategies. First up, we have the balanced odds strategy. This is specifically designed to zero in on competitive matchups where neither team is an overwhelming favorite. Look for a home win priced between 1.8 and 2.5. That tells us the home team is favored, sure, but they're vulnerable. Then, an away win up to 3.5 means the visiting team absolutely still has teeth. And those halftime draw odds, if they're less than 2.5, the market is heavily expecting a really tight, hard-fought opening 45 minutes.
And that balance of power is exactly what we want. When the odds reflect a truly evenly matched game, the environment is just perfect for both teams to score. What we're doing here is actively avoiding those matches where one team is heavily favored at like 1.10 odds. Because honestly, those almost always turn into one-sided training exercises where only one team is ever even threatening the goal.
Now, if you want something truly next level, check out this Bookie AI hack. This is a brilliant way to track where the sportsbook's algorithm has quietly shifted its stance, essentially pointing you exactly to where the probability is spiked. Here's how it works. You check the odds in the morning, and then you check them again in the evening. If the odds for over 2.5 goals have dropped, say they move from 1.87 down to 1.85, that tells you smart money has entered the market, forcing the bookie to adjust. If your secondary checks for BTTS and over 1.5 also line up, well, you've got a massive green light based purely on real market movement.
But of course, you always want to cross-reference your odds tracking with concrete data. You should be focusing on open leagues that are just notorious for attacking football and, quite frankly, really leaky defenses. The German Bundesliga and the Dutch Eredivisie, they are absolute historical gold mines for this. And when you're looking at team stats, you want to see high expected goals, or XG. That proves these teams are actually creating genuine, high-quality chances, not just taking desperate pot shots from 40 yards out. Oh, and definitely avoid teams with high clean sheet percentages. That's just common sense. Which perfectly illustrates this point. Good analysis matters far more than following a self-proclaimed betting guru. As we already proved with the whole 193 trap, the math just doesn't lie. So you absolutely must trust rigorous backtesting over blind tips you find on social media. I mean, literally anyone can post a winning ticket online. But true, sustainable success, that comes from deeply understanding the value of odds and tracking the metrics yourself. It's time to stop guessing and start analyzing.
And that brings us to Section 5, playing it safe, securing your bankroll and your mindset.
Before we wrap this explainer up, it is absolutely essential that we talk about responsibility. Because look, no matter how rock solid your math is, variance is a reality in sports. Stuff happens. Discipline is the only thing that actually keeps you in the game long term. If you find yourself staking money just to feel a rush, it is definitely time to take a step back. Use a separate bankroll. Utilize deposit and time limits. This shouldn't be stressful, guys. It should be a smart, analytical challenge that just adds a fun layer of entertainment to the match. Protect your bankroll like a business, and never, ever let emotion dictate your next move.
I really hope this explainer completely changes how you view football betting markets. Honestly, the next time you're sitting down to watch a match, just try paying attention to the tempo, the defensive lapses, and how those market odds shift. All that data is out there just waiting for you to use it. So I'll leave you with this. Are you still going to sit there and try to guess the winner? Or are you finally ready to start exploiting the real value in the odds? Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time.